You ever hate someone so much you feel like you know them? Like, every time you see their username, your blood pressure spikes just a little? Yeah, that was me, with Ash coded. I never knew his real name, never saw his face, but for almost 2 years we were practically digital rivals. Same Discord server, same coding subreddit, same late-night tech Twitter arguments. It didn't matter what the topic was. Frameworks, IDEs, even dumb stuff like keyboard layouts, we disagreed. Loudly, publicly, often. And the worst part? He was smart. Like, actually smart. The kind of smart that's somehow even more annoying when it's wrapped in sarcasm and smug one-liners. He'd quote RFCs like bedtime stories and had a knack for turning any thread into a philosophical debate about open-source ethics or some shit. We were never friendly. We were never civil. And we sure as hell weren't ever going to meet. Until I heard someone moving into the apartment next door. I live in a modest little building just north of downtown. 5 units, thin walls, and a landlord who communicates exclusively via passive-aggressive post-it notes. I lived here for about a year, and the unit beside mine had been empty for months. Then, one Saturday morning, I was in the hallway carrying a takeout bag in one hand and my laptop in the other when I almost bumped into this guy trying to squeeze a mattress through his door. He was tall, lanky, and swearing under his breath. "Need a hand?" I offered, mostly out of reflex. He turned around. Brown hair, 5 o'clock shadow. A crooked smile that somehow made him look both charming and like he knew he was about to say something irritating. "Sure," he said, stepping aside. "I'm Ash." I froze. "Ash?" I repeated, my voice dry. "Yeah," he said casually, like the universe hadn't just sucker punched me. "Short for Asher. You live next door?" I nodded slowly. "You don't happen to hang out on any tech servers, do you?" He raised an eyebrow. "Why? You a tech guy too?" I took a breath. "Adam. At Null Adam on Discord." His face changed. "Oh," he said, and then smirked. "Well, shit." There it was, that smug, infuriating smirk. Ash coded, my internet nemesis, was now my literal next-door neighbor. And for some reason, instead of hating it, I felt my stomach twist in a way I hadn't expected. The hallway was quiet, but my brain was doing laps. Ash coded. The guy I'd virtually wanted to strangle during at least 5 separate arguments about whether Python was bloated. It is, but that's not the point. The same guy who once roasted my front-end framework in a group chat so viciously that someone DM'd me to ask if we were exes. Now standing barefoot in sweatpants 3 feet away, holding one end of a queen-sized mattress. "Guess this is awkward," he said. "Only if you start talking about how tabs are superior to spaces." I shot back. He laughed, a low, amused sound that annoyed me more than I wanted to admit. I hated that he had a nice laugh. We wrestled the mattress through the door without speaking again, and I figured that was it. A weird little run-in I'd bitch about to my friends later. But no, that was just the beginning. 2 nights later, I was making dinner, some sad microwave pasta, when I heard a knock. I opened the door, and there he was again, Ash, with 2 beers in hand. "Thought we should start this neighbors thing over," he said, offering me one. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to slam the door. The other part was curious. I mean, we'd spent years talking, arguing, sure, but still talking. Maybe there was something kind of interesting about putting a real voice to the username. I took the beer. "Fine, but if you start monologuing about functional programming, I'm kicking you out." He grinned. "Deal." We sat on my tiny balcony, him in a folding chair, me on a milk crate, watching the city lights and sipping our drinks. It wasn't as weird as I thought it'd be. So I said after a while, "What brings you to this overpriced shoebox building?" He shrugged. "Needed a change. My old place was hell. Bad roommates, worse Wi-Fi. You?" "Divorced my last apartment. Mutual decision. The mold cheated on me with my socks." He laughed again. It was the kind of laugh that made me glance at him a second too long. "Funny," he said. "You're way less of an asshole in person. You're just saying that because I didn't ban you from my balcony yet." He tilted his head, eyes studying me. So you really hated me that much online? I looked away, smirking. No, I mean, yeah, you were insufferable. He didn't respond right away. When I glanced back, he was watching me with this half smile, like he was enjoying something I couldn't quite name. You never blocked me. I tried, I admitted, 3 times. Kept unblocking you so I could keep arguing. That got a real laugh out of him. So what now? He asked. I shrugged. We coexist. Quietly. No flame wars in the hallway. Right, he said. Then, after a pause, and if we end up arguing again? I met his gaze. You better bring better ammo than that hot take about Tailwind. He leaned back, the light from my apartment flickering off his profile. There was a strange, unexpected ease in the silence that followed, like something had shifted. And maybe I was imagining it, but when our eyes met again, something else was flickering there too. Curiosity, maybe more. Whatever it was, I didn't hate it. That balcony beer turned into a weird sort of truce. After that night, we didn't exactly become best friends, but the tension between us shifted. It wasn't as sharp anymore. Still had teeth, but now it felt more like a game. A slow burn dare neither of us wanted to win. We started running into each other more. Laundry room, hallway, even at the corner bodega, where Ash bought those overpriced protein bars he claimed weren't just for the aesthetics. He'd say something snarky, I'd fire back, and by the time we parted ways, I'd be grinning like an idiot. Then came the Friday night he knocked again. This time he was holding a pizza box. You eat? He asked, nodding toward my door. You stocking my dinner schedule now? I could hear your stomach through the wall. I rolled my eyes but stepped aside. Come in. He made himself at home on my couch like it was the most natural thing in the world, tossing me a slice and pulling up some dumb sci-fi show I didn't even know he watched. You're a Galaxy Front fan? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Guilty, he said. I like dumb space politics and sad gay robots. Sue me, I chuckled. Okay, I might respect you a little now. We didn't talk much after that. Just sat, eating greasy pizza, laughing at stupid dialogue, shoulders brushing every time we reached for the box. I tried to ignore the heat pooling in my stomach from how close he was sitting, from how he'd casually lean in when he made a joke, like we were used to sharing space like that. Halfway through episode 4, the power went out. Just like that, total blackness. Whoa, Ash said, sitting up. That's dramatic. Probably another blown fuse, I muttered, grabbing my phone to use as a flashlight. Building's ancient. You got candles? Maybe. Somewhere. I rummaged through the drawer under the sink, feeling him behind me in the small kitchen space. Too close. I found one, half-burned, lavender-scented, totally unmanly, and lit it with a shaky hand. When I turned around, he was watching me, that amused, unreadable look again. Except now, in the flickering candlelight, it felt different. He looked softer. Or maybe I just wasn't pretending anymore. You good? I asked. Yeah, he said, but his voice was lower. Just weird being here. With you. Like this. I leaned back against the counter, crossing my arms. What, in person? He smirked. No. Just not arguing, not hating you. That was your whole brand. Still is, he said, but something in his tone shifted. Just not with you. Not anymore. We stood there in silence. The faint scent of lavender mixing with melted cheese and city air through the open window. And then, this small electric moment, I swear he was going to say something else. But instead, he looked away, cleared his throat, and said, I should go reset the fuse. Come with me? Yeah, I said, voice steadier than I felt. Sure. We went down to the basement. Dark, dusty, creepy as hell. He crouched by the fuse box, flashlight in one hand, fiddling with the panel. Ever think this place is haunted? He asked. Only when you show up. He laughed quietly, and when the lights finally blinked back on, he turned to look at me, still crouched, face half lit, and for a moment, we just stared at each other. Not talking, not arguing, just seeing. Something was shifting. I didn't know what yet. But I wasn't fighting it. After that night in the basement, something changed between us. Nothing dramatic. No confessions or fireworks. But there was a different energy in the air. Ash didn't knock the next day, but I could hear him moving around through the wall. I never noticed how thin it was before, how his music bled into my apartment, or how I'd gotten used to the cadence of his laugh when he was on the phone. Then, Sunday afternoon, he texted me. Ash, you around? Me, depends. You gonna insult my coat again? Ash, no promises. Ash, but I made too much food. Come over. I did. He'd cooked, like actually cooked. Real food, not ramen or something from a box. Pasta with sun-dried tomatoes, roasted garlic bread, a salad that looked suspiciously curated for Instagram. Did you Google impressive meals for online enemies? Or, I asked, stepping into his place. Shut up and sit down, he said, grinning. It was the first time I'd really seen his apartment. Same layout as mine, but totally different vibe. Warmer, messier, books and notebooks everywhere. A mug that said, World's Okayest Coder. A blanket on the couch that looked suspiciously soft. Nice place, I said. Yeah, I'm still unpacking. I could tell. There were boxes in the corner, a disassembled shelf, and a hoodie draped over a dining chair. But it felt lived in. It felt like him. Dinner was good. Too good, honestly. And halfway through my second glass of wine, I found myself staring at him longer than I should have, watching the way his mouth moved when he talked, the way his sleeves bunched up around his forearms, the way he said my name when he teased me. I still think your take on TypeScript is trash, he said, stabbing a piece of bread. You're one more snarky comment away from me pouring this wine on your head, he smirked. Admit it, you like arguing with me. I didn't answer right away, just looked at him, head tilted. You ever think, I said slowly, we weren't really arguing? Not the way people think. He paused. What do you mean? I don't know, maybe we were just flirting. The aggressive, nerdy kind. His eyes flicked to mine. His smile faltered. For the first time, he looked nervous. I thought that was just me, he said, voice lower. The silence that followed felt like someone pressing pause on the whole universe. You're not wrong, I said. That was it, just that. No dramatic music, no sudden kiss. Just honesty, sitting between us like a candle still flickering from the draft. I've been trying to figure you out, he said after a moment. You're confident online, but in person you're different? No, just more guarded. I looked down at my plate. Yeah, well, in person you can't backspace what you say. He smiled at that. Not smug this time, just warm. After we cleared the table, I helped him with the dishes. Standing close in the cramped kitchen, shoulders brushing now and then, we didn't talk much. Just the sound of water, plates clinking, the soft hum of his music in the background. When we finished, I dried my hands and turned to him. I should probably head back, I said. He nodded. Right, yeah, but he didn't move. Neither did I. Adam, he said. I looked up. And before I could say anything, he stepped forward, slowly. Just enough to test the air between us. It wasn't a kiss. Not yet. But we were close. Close enough that I could feel his breath. Close enough that if either of us leaned just slightly. Night, I whispered. He nodded, his eyes searching mine. Night. I walked back to my apartment with my heart doing this stupid, steady, pounding thing. Not from nerves. From hope. I had no idea what was coming next. But I knew one thing for sure. I didn't hate Ash anymore. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, Ash, standing in his kitchen, so close it made my skin prickle. The way he looked at me before I left, like he wanted to say something more but didn't know how. Or maybe he was waiting for me to say it. I didn't. And I hated that I was replaying it like it mattered more than it should have. The next morning, I was halfway through a bowl of cereal when there was a soft knock on my door. I opened it to find him standing there, hair messy, hoodie half-zipped, barefoot like always. Morning, he said. Morning, I echoed, suddenly hyper-aware I hadn't brushed my hair. He held up a hand. I swear I'm not trying to make this weird. I didn't want last night to hang in the air like some awkward cliffhanger. I folded my arms. You think that was a cliffhanger? He shrugged. Felt like it. Pretty sure cliffhangers are supposed to be exciting. That was more like a slow fade to black. He grinned. Okay, fair. But you did lean in. So did you. We stood there in the doorway like a couple of idiots, smiling at each other over invisible tension. Finally, I stepped back and opened the door wider. Come in, but only because I need someone to validate my cereal choice. He walked past me, eyeing the box on the counter. Honey Clusters, bold move. It was on sale. Even bolder. He plopped onto my couch like it was his, curling his legs under him. I sat across from him, bowl in hand, trying not to feel like we were playing some kind of weird emotional chess. I like talking to you, he said suddenly. I looked up. I mean, I always did, he added, voice more careful now. Even when we were arguing online. It wasn't just about being right. It was about getting you to respond. Something in my chest did a slow, warm twist. I thought you were just obsessed with proving me wrong. I was, he said, smiling. But also, not really. I set my bowl down. So what are we doing now? He looked at me for a long moment. I don't know, he said. But I want to keep doing it. That silence again, but this time, it wasn't awkward. It was thick with something else. Possibility. You want to hang out later, he asked. Maybe not here. Like a real thing. Public. Two consenting rivals getting food and pretending they don't low-key like each other? I snorted. That was incredibly specific. Yeah, well, I'm a software dev. I like well-defined parameters. I smiled, nodding slowly. All right, let's do it. He stood up, brushing imaginary dust off his hoodie. Cool. I'll knock later. Wear something that doesn't scream. I only own 3 shirts. I own more than 3 shirts, I said. I like these 3. Sure you do. He winked, then headed out, and for a moment, I just stood in my living room, grinning like an idiot. That night, we ended up at this ramen spot a few blocks away. Not fancy, but cozy. Booth seating. Low lighting. Steam rising from bowls and soft clinks of chopsticks. He was different outside the building. Looser. More confident, in a quieter way. Less of the snark. More of the glances. The kind where you catch someone looking at you when they think you're not paying attention. Over noodles, we talked about dumb stuff. College, jobs, our mutual hatred of recruiters who call at 9 a.m. And somewhere between our second beers and a shared plate of gyoza, I realized this wasn't a test anymore. It wasn't about one-upping each other or proving anything. It was just us, talking, laughing, existing in the same space without armor. On the walk back, he didn't try to hide the way his hand brushed mine. I didn't pull away. The walk back was quiet in the way that felt deliberate, like neither of us wanted to ruin whatever spell the night had cast. City lights flickered across the pavement, the wind was cool, and every time our arms brushed, it felt like a silent dare. Ash didn't say much, but I could tell he was thinking. I could feel it in the way he glanced at me when he thought I wasn't looking, like he was trying to figure out how far this was going to go. When we reached our building, we paused at the steps. You want to come in? He asked, voice lower now. I didn't answer right away. He looked down, rubbing the back of his neck. Sorry, I was hoping you'd ask. I cut in. He blinked, surprised for maybe half a second before a slow smile curved across his lips. We climbed the stairs in silence, my pulse pounding louder with every step. When he unlocked his door, I hesitated for just a second before following him in. His place was dim. Just the soft glow from the hallway and a string of fairy lights haphazardly tacked to the edge of his window. It smelled like that same sandalwood candle he kept burning, mixed with something warmer now. Him. He tossed his keys onto the table. You want a drink, or I kissed him. No preamble, no warning. I just walked up to him, hooked a hand behind his neck, and kissed him. And he didn't hesitate. He kissed me back, hard. Like he'd been waiting for this as long as I had. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't slow. It was clumsy at first, breathless and too eager. His hands found my waist, mine tangled in his hoodie. We stumbled into each other, laughing against each other's mouths, breaking the kiss only to catch our breath before diving back in. He tasted like cheap beer and salt from the ramen. His lips were warm, soft, and the way he pressed into me, urgent but careful, sent a rush through me that made everything else blur. We didn't make it to the couch. Not right away. Somehow we ended up against the wall, his fingers splayed across my lower back, mine bunching up the hem of his hoodie. "God," he muttered, forehead pressed to mine, breath shaky. "I've wanted to do that since you told me my repo was. Embarrassing." I laughed. "That was a bad repo." He grinned and kissed me again, slower this time. Like he didn't hate me, like he never had. Eventually, we did make it to the couch, our legs tangled, lips swollen, breath still catching in strange rhythms. The heat simmered down and we lay there, bodies still close, minds finally catching up. "I didn't think you were into guys," I said quietly. He didn't look at me right away, just rested his chin on my shoulder and shrugged. "I don't know what I am," he admitted. "I just know it's always been easier to talk to you, even when we were fighting, especially when we were fighting." I nodded, fingers brushing lightly along the curve of his wrist. "Same." He turned his face into my neck and exhaled. "I think I like you, Adam." I froze. Not in a bad way. Just surprised. That sentence. Those words. From him. I swallowed hard. "I think I like you too, Ash." His hand tightened around mine. And in that small, quiet moment on a worn-out couch in a slightly too warm apartment, I realized something I never thought I'd admit. This might have started online. But whatever this was between us, it was real. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee and the sound of someone clumsily opening kitchen cabinets. For a moment, I forgot where I was, until I sat up, blinked against the sunlight pouring through Ash's windows, and saw him standing in his kitchen, shirtless, hair a total disaster, squinting at the coffee machine like it had insulted him. "Morning," I said, voice still raspy. He turned, holding a mug like he wasn't entirely sure it was his. "Oh, you're alive," he said with a crooked smile. "I was debating if I needed to bring you breakfast in bed or a hangover cure. Why not both?" He grinned and passed me the mug. "Cream? No sugar, right?" I blinked. "How'd you know that?" "You yelled about it in a thread once, said people who used flavored creamer were cowards hiding from bitterness." I groaned. "Jesus, you really did pay attention." "To everything," he said, softer now. "It should have been awkward. Waking up in your internet nemesis's apartment. Shirtless. Still sore from a night that started with ramen and ended with everything else. But it wasn't. It felt like something new. Something we didn't have to name just yet. That week, we fell into this strange, surprising rhythm. Some nights we stayed in our own spaces. Some nights I'd knock on his door. Sometimes he'd show up at mine with food or that cocky smirk like he knew I couldn't say no. And yeah, we still argued about code, about movies, about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. But it didn't feel like before. It felt like flirting disguised as combat. There was a night, maybe 2 weeks after the first one, when we were curled up in his bed, lights off, just the low hum of the city outside. "You ever think about how weird this is?" I asked. "What? Us?" "Yeah," I said. "We went from calling each other idiots in the comment section to this." He rolled onto his side, resting his chin on my chest. "I don't think it's weird. I think it's inevitable." I raised an eyebrow. "That's dramatic," he smirked. "Look, we challenged each other, made each other better. And underneath all that sarcasm, there was always something more." I stared at the ceiling. "You mean the tension?" "I mean the attraction." I glanced down at him. "You always this confident?" "Only when I'm right." I laughed, and he kissed me. Slowly, deliberately, like he had nothing to prove anymore. By month 3, he'd started referring to us as the enemies to lovers pipeline, and I hated how much I loved it. We never really told anyone how we met. It was one of those stories that didn't need to be explained to anyone else. It belonged to us. To every late-night DM that turned heated, to every passive-aggressive emoji reaction, to every time one of us pretended to be pissed when we were actually grinning like idiots. We were still different, still disagreed on everything from bracket placement to streaming platforms, but it didn't matter, because now, when I heard him through the wall, I smiled. Because now, when he leaned in to kiss me mid-argument, I kissed him back. Because now, I didn't hate Ash-Coated. I loved him. And somehow, that felt like the most unexpected plot twist of all.